Everyone, today I thought I'd share with you a little bit of a do-it-yourself project. The planner craze is well underway, and I actually have a couple of old planners that are sort of more diary style, but what I wanted to do was turn them into a bit more of a planner and make it prettier. And as you can see here just from my dividers, that it wasn't very pretty at all, very plain, very boring. And rather than trying to jazz these up, because I think that red background is just very jarring and not really my style, what I decided to do was, rather than throw these out, I'm going to hold on to these and use these as templates in future, so that I can make my own. And so I'm going to show you how to make your own today. So there's actually 5 dividers here, and we're just going to work on the first one. But even if you only have like 2 or 3, the trick then is that you can flip the other 2 upside down and use them in that direction as well. So as long as you've got a couple, or even if you only had 2, you can soon do them in both directions. And you might be missing the middle one, but you know, that gives you at least 4 dividers that you can make. So we're going to start working on the first one. Now, I've got this glossy cardstock that I was never ever going to use on a project. It doesn't stamp really well, but I quite like the pattern, which is why I kept it. So I got it in a sort of a project box that I picked up once, and I decided to use the matte cardstock to decorate the box. So I've got 2 sides here. I quite like this white sort of floral lacy print, and I also like the rose petals, the roses on the other side. So I'm going to cut my first piece from here, because I'm only going to get one piece out in that direction, in that orientation, but I'm going to use the other side as my template. So lining this up right along the edge, and this saves me having to cut 2 of the edges. I'm just going to get a pencil, and I'm doing it on the opposite side so that if I don't cut it perfectly or the pencil marks don't rub out perfectly, this is not the side that's actually going to be my front facing side in the actual diary. So just tracing around the edge of that all the way, and unfortunately there is a bit of hand cutting involved, but it's not too much, so it's okay. Now what I'm doing is just putting a coloured circle in the middle there, making it quite clear that that's where the middle of the circle is for each of those, lining it up like so. Okay, so I've got a fairly clear line there, and then what I'm going to do is go around with a pair of scissors. You need fairly sharp scissors if you're going to be using a thick cardstock like this one, and trim it all the way around. Now I don't do any sort of fancy rounded corners at this stage, but you could go in with your corner rounder afterwards and round off those corners. So I'm just going to slowly work my way around this tab. I want to be as neat as possible, and the trick to cutting around corners and fussy cutting and those things is to actually turn the paper rather than the scissors. Okay, I'm really excited to be able to use up some of these glossy cardstocks, and I have already prepared my tabs for this year, but I'm going to use these in the future for next year. So I've got myself a hole punch here. This one is actually a flower shape, which will be good for this project, but just going through and lining it up and making sure that you cover the circle that you've done in lead. So that's why it's good to do the circle fairly large, and then you can make sure that you cover it with your punch. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now we can go through and put a heading on this later, like a, you know, or a dashboard where we've got sticky notes and things like that, which I've done in the past. But what I don't really like is this tab, because we're going to want to put something on the tab. So an easy way to deal with that is I've got some washi tape here, and I'm just going to lay the washi tape along the edge, and because it's got a lace pattern, I'm going to try and line it up so it's in the middle, but a bit tricky to see. just that edge piece there. Now at this stage I'm just going to cut fairly roughly because I actually want to do the same thing on the other side. So trying to line up those lace pieces as much as possible. Okay, and trim that side, and again we'll just go back around that tab. Might need to do this in good light so you can see, and it may require you to go one way like that and then go back and just trim off the other end like so. And so all of a sudden we've got ourselves a pretty tab, and we can write on there you know, what that tab is for, and we can also decorate in any sort of way and shape that you like. So that could be that piece facing that way, or it could be the bottom piece facing that way. So I think I'm going to put it on that side, and I've got myself one, and then you would move along to the next one. Now because this is half in half, it's actually going to, when you turn it over to the other side, if I get 3 pieces out of this, it's actually going to have this little bit at the end. So when I line that up, it doesn't quite fit all the way along. Now you can use that as a bit of a design element if you want to, or you could just get another corner piece out of it like so and then stick with that. So it's up to you. I think what I'm going to do is have another one that's full and complete, and then I don't think you actually get to fit multiples along this piece. Maybe we can try that as well. So I'll start with this corner piece. What I'm going to do is mark that out. So the same process again, marking along the edges, go around. Oh, or you could just do your circles, which I did by habit. Again, moving the paper rather than the scissors, and trim it all the way to the edge. Now let's have a look. Can we get another one out of that middle one? We can. Okay, so the trick now will be to decide, so if this one is going to go that way on the top, so you're not sort of, just straighten up that line, it's a bit crooked there, so you're not doubling up on the tabs. I always choose my favourite side that I want to show facing upwards, and you'll still have it on the reverse, but you may be inclined to cover this up a bit more. So we've got that one facing that way, and then what I'm going to do is face the other one. We may not squeeze that in. Oh, yeah, we can. We can squeeze it in this way. So, just running that along the edge, so you'll have a bit more edge to cut, but in the interest of getting as much out of your card as possible, we want to make sure we use up as much as we can before we throw this piece out. And then just doing those circles in the middle that we're going to punch out. So to make it easier to cut this time, I would literally trim that way. So you could get quite a few out of one sheet. And then we've got our tab coming up. Okay, and then we'll just trim straight down the other end. Like so. Okay, so we're starting to build our tabs here, and this one's going to have a bit more of an interesting design element, so that one's going to go down the bottom there. And so we'll go and punch those, but also the corner rounder that I was talking about. So I've got a corner rounder here, and you could go through and round off those corners. So I'd only round the corners on that side. And I mismarked that one, so just got to trim that up. Okay, so we've got that one, and when you've got sort of the tab in the middle, then you can go ahead and round both the corners. Make sure I get that right this time. Tricky with that tab. There we go. Round that corner, just turn it over and check we're in the right spot. Round that corner, and we've got 3 of our 5 tabs necessary. You go through and punch. So you can go ahead and do that with one more piece, and you know, if you prefer to have the most of it to be this and this to be the other bit, the element at the top, say, and you can put a bit of a title there, you can do it that way. So just decide how you want that piece to be and which tabs you've got missing, and then you'll need to pick one more cardstock that will finish your 5 tabs for you, because you'll only get one more out of that piece. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it encourages you to start producing some of your own elements. And if you do have some tabs that you really don't like, some dividers for your planner, you can definitely start creating your own. I found the glossy cardstock the best for that, but you could also use heavy weighted pattern paper, but yeah, this is just a really sort of sturdy material, so, and otherwise I would never use it. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.